The tale begins in a chamber adorned with a mystical circle etched upon the floor. A young maiden, clutching a petite tome, welcomed an unknown visitor, whispering to herself that she is often referred to as a goddess behind strangers' backs. A dark-haired lad emerged from a swirling haze, his gaze fixated on his own hands. The maiden intended to brief the lad on his current predicament, yet something peculiar caught her attention, causing her to inquire nervously if he had previously visited this realm. As the mist dissipated around him, the lad offered a faint smile, admitting to his prior presence and their prolonged separation. He then queried if approximately 10 minutes had elapsed. Takafuji Inori, possessing modest abilities and a peculiar talent, scratched his head in puzzlement. The lad expressed a preference for a concise explanation of his circumstance, ideally in 20 words or fewer. The space between worlds, where all summoned receive one ability for interdimensional travel. Takafuji and Dori contemplated how to succinctly describe the mystical realm to the goddess. It's where individuals are summoned from various worlds, like me. He recently departed from the Hagen Kingdom, summoned alongside his classmates as heroes to combat the Demon Lord. During the world's assault, his classmates noticed an anomaly beneath his feet, a magic circle, plunging him into bewilderment. Suddenly, the circle ignited, eliciting screams as he vanished, leaving the residents astounded. Upon his return, Takafuji and Dori awkwardly recounted his abrupt displacement to the goddess, pondering if he had met his demise. Regrettably, the maiden shared his confusion, apologizing for her lack of insight. Despite his befuddlement with the system, he speculated on the likelihood of future summons. The goddess, adhering to protocol, bestowed upon him a gift, acknowledging his second summoning. Grateful yet perplexed, Takafuji and Dori reflected on the goddess's enigmatic encouragement before being engulfed in light once more, transported to a new world. As he awoke, he confronted a grotesque figure, gleefully announcing his success in experimentation. Bound and apprehensive, Takafuji and Dori lamented his immediate peril. The madman's proximity unnerved him, triggering his immobilization by a magical eye. The madman gleefully divulged his intent to experiment on Takafuji and Dori's magical eyes bestowed upon him by the goddess. Identified as the Magic Eye of Vision and the Magic Formation Eye, their uniqueness intrigued the madman. Despite his discomfort, Takafuji and Dori remained composed until his abrupt disappearance, returning to the goddess's presence once more. Startled by his return, the goddess teased him about his recurring appearances, prompting Takafuji and Dori's amusement. Though compelled by forces beyond his control, he found solace in the goddess's company. As she promised to investigate further, Takafuji and Dori contemplated the inevitability of future summons, hopeful for a reprieve. Yet, as another flash of light enveloped him, he resigned himself to the whims of fate, embracing the uncertainty of his interdimensional travels. The young elf, with long ears perked up in excitement, assumed that this time his summoner was the one called Elves. The teacher affectionately patted the young elf on the head, expressing amazement at Miss Reed's talent. She couldn't have imagined that young Reed would summon a humanoid demon at her first ceremony. Takafuji Inori, silently observing, was greatly surprised by the revelation. The woman pointed out Takafuji's sharp fangs, identifying him as a vampire. The young man, startled, questioned his transformation, wondering if he had ceased to be human. The girl, frightened yet curious, exclaimed as the creature spoke, introducing himself as Inori. The teachers, intrigued, noted Inori's ability to speak, a trait rare among demons. The woman found it fascinating, while the teacher remarked on the rarity of demons with names. The girl, clinging to Inori's wings, speculated that he might be a Count-class demon. Inori, somewhat taken aback by the girl's actions, acknowledged their joy but urged haste, knowing their time together was limited. In a flash of light, the summoning ended abruptly, leaving Inori back in the presence of the goddess. The girl inquired if Inori was wary of being summoned repeatedly. The goddess suggested he consider signing a contract to expedite future summons. Reflecting on his experiences, Inori deemed the third summoning the most successful, realizing he might encounter worse situations in subsequent summons. Inori found himself facing an insecure girl who greeted him as the hero and beseeched him to save her world from the Demon Lord. Seizing the moment, Inori approached her, prompting a startled reaction. He realized he had veered off the expected path of being a hero. Despite this, he resolved to help, dismissing any hesitations. A knight's reprimand for his closeness to the princess led to a confrontation ending in the knight's demise. Inori reflected on his own annoyance, but found solace in his current situation. Inori hurried the princess to arrange an oath ceremony, eager to cement their alliance. The princess, overwhelmed, suggested a month's preparation, but Inori insisted on immediate action, expressing his readiness to spend his life with her. As the glow of summoning reappeared, Inori regretted the timing but bid farewell with a smile. Despite the princess's attempts to stop him, he vanished. Back in the presence of the goddess, Inori reclined, pondering his newfound abilities. The goddess remarked on his transformation, expressing concern. Inori, unfazed, contemplated his abilities, considering how to blend in with his surroundings. As Inori relaxed, the goddess, taken aback by her changed attire, explained her actions. Inori observed her, wondering if he should voice his thoughts. The air crackled with tension as the girl's voice resonated with his thoughts, catching him off guard. The guy sighed awkwardly as the goddess interjected, reminding him that he himself had expressed a preference for her to dress less provocatively. Inori chimed in, questioning whether the girl also overheard all the compliments directed at her. With a coy smile, she teased him about his embarrassment. The guy dismissed it, claiming his thoughts were genuine. The goddess, acknowledging Inori's remarkable qualities, started to explain further, but halted. Inori then turned the spotlight on him, asking for his opinion on her new attire. With a broad smile, he gave his approval, prompting the girl to lift her head proudly. However, the mood shifted abruptly as the girl grabbed her book, signaling the end of their leisurely banter. She indicated it was time to address the pressing matter at hand. She informed Takafuji and Ori that she intended to share her insights about their peculiar situation. She elaborated on the significance of the summoning ritual, emphasizing the necessity of a strong soul for traversing between worlds. The guy's surprise was palpable as he realized he was repeatedly chosen due to his robust soul. The girl confirmed his observation, praising his rare strength of spirit. Suddenly, the room flooded with blinding light, transporting them to a new location without altering their positions. Takafuji noted with interest that it marked the 5th time he encountered the visibly fatigued girl. He found it intriguing, especially considering her apparent struggle to maintain her composure. Introducing herself as Sheena, the girl revealed her status as the most accomplished dark magician in the world. She explained her summoning of Inori, intending for him to inherit her magical prowess. However, the guy remained skeptical of her claims. Sheena expressed her belief in the potential of dark magic to save their world, despite societal apprehensions. Despite dedicating 2 centuries to mastering dark magic, Sheena's time was running out. She implored Inori to use her magic to safeguard their world. However, to her dismay, he declined. Shocked and pale, Sheena struggled to comprehend his. She emphasized the significance of her offer, highlighting the limited time she had left. Inori's rejection left Sheena in despair, realizing she wouldn't have another opportunity. Desperate, she proposed that Inori could utilize her body if he inherited her magic, emphasizing her youth and the fleeting nature of her vitality. Inori found the offer intriguing, but ultimately declined. Sheena, struggling to accept his decision, questioned his rationale. Inori evaded her gaze, deflecting with a smile. As he disappeared, leaving Sheena behind, the gravity of his decision weighed heavily on her. Returning to the goddess's side, Inori was met with her silent scrutiny. She expressed sympathy for Sheena's plight, acknowledging her role in orchestrating the summoning. Despite the goddess's jest, she recognized Sheena's profound regret. The goddess explained the irreversible sacrifice Sheena made to summon Inori, condemning her to a fate sealed by her desperation. Inori pondered the implications of fate, contemplating his own role in Sheena's tragedy. Abruptly, Inori found himself surrounded by enthusiastic monsters, hailing him as the Demon King. Confused by the reception, he realized he had been summoned as a figure of dread. Despite his reservations, he resigned himself to his new role, reflecting on the complexities of his situation. Meanwhile, the goddess marveled at Inori's newfound abilities, expressing disdain at the overwhelming power bestowed upon him. She questioned his actions, noting his potential to be both hero and villain. As the goddess reordered Inori's abilities, she prepared for their final farewell. Reflecting on their conversation, she expressed gratitude for the rare connection they shared. Inori reciprocated the sentiment, acknowledging the unexpected bond forged between them. With a flash of light, Inori found himself in a kingdom surrounded by curious onlookers. Their surprise at his presence was palpable, as they had anticipated only 3 heroes. As tensions rose, a confident princess stepped forward, revealing their purpose as summoned heroes and Inori as an unexpected addition. Inori observed the unfolding scene with skepticism, contemplating the princess's motives. Despite her grandiose claims, he remained wary of her intentions. She outlined their role in combating the Demon Lord's forces, revealing the ongoing struggle against demonic influence. Unfazed by the princess's arrogance, Inori resolved to navigate this new world on his own terms. As the princess asserted her authority, he remained steadfast in his independence, prepared to confront the challenges ahead. The ongoing assaults on the lands of the people persisted, prompting Empire Makerd, the head of the Confederation of Nations, to convene rulers from all corners of the realm. In a bid to avert crisis, they collectively decided to call forth heroes. Not just any heroes, mind you, but those who would be groomed and trained in each realm, thereby forging an army of champions. Inori, amidst the deliberations, astutely observed that their strategy favored quantity over quality in warriors. With a sudden smile, she implored the summoned heroes to grasp the gravity of their role, urging them to become truly worthy of their title so as not to bring disgrace upon their homelands. With the blessings of the heroes bestowed upon them, Shinzaki Rudo receiving the blessing of breaking the limit, Kurosawa Tamaki bestowed with magical kinship, Isagai Ai endowed with barrier art, and Taka Fuji, Inori granted the blessing of surveillance. Inori found herself taken aback by her newfound ability. Though unfamiliar with its nature, a sense of foreboding lingered within her, hinting at something ominous. As the trials commenced, revealing Rudo's superhuman strength, Ai and Tamaki's extraordinary magical prowess, Inori found herself lacking in physical strength and possessing minimal magical ability. Undeterred, he resolved to persevere, reminded of the sun god's apparent animosity towards him. In a moment of revelation, Inori realized that his skill, once reliant on traditional means, now required a blood offering, an unsettling notion in a world devoid of such concepts. However, reassured by the goddess's promise to rectify his abilities, Inori pressed. During a discussion on surveillance, Inori's modest blessing proved to be unexpectedly potent, granting him the ability to perceive beyond physical barriers. Embracing the opportunity, he explored the depths of his newfound powers, eager to uncover their full potential. As days passed, the heroes underwent rigorous training, with Inori finding himself singled out for intensive physical conditioning by the formidable Ajana Z. Despite his struggles, Inori persevered, silently hoping for respite from his relentless mentor. Amidst the training, a surprise visit from a princess brought a momentary distraction. Inori's analytical gaze revealed the princess's blessings and titles, yet left him perplexed by the enigmatic Gratitude Collector designation. As theoretical classes commenced with the second princess, Inori's curiosity piqued as he delved into her background, noting peculiarities in her title and apparent age. With each revelation, the mysteries of this new world deepened, leaving Inori eager to unravel its secrets. Inori greeted Inori with a polite nod, introducing herself as the second princess of the illustrious kingdom of the Rising Sun. With an air of regality, she expressed her responsibility for the theoretical and magical training of Taka Fujinori. However, Taka found himself segregated into a separate class, the solitary pupil, due to the first princess's disdain for teaching commoners. Inori harbored annoyance towards this haughty princess, vowing silently to impart a lesson upon her in due time. Nevertheless, Taka responded to the second princess's introduction with a courteous smile, expressing his pleasure in meeting her. As the lesson commenced, the second princess delved into the history of the Kingdom of the Rising Sun, recounting its origins crafted by a witch among 5 heroes who vanquished the former Demon Lord. In this society, steeped in witchcraft and matriarchal tradition, the strength of a candidate's magical lineage played a pivotal role in inheriting the crown. Inori, albeit initially lost in thought, acknowledged the logic behind the kingdom's structure, envisioning Valkyries and female knight commanders as integral facets of this magical realm. Prompted by the princess, Inori inquired about magic tools, and she explained their nature as devices activated by the user's magical prowess. Inori, quick to grasp the sophistication of magical technology in this world, speculated even his mundane pen might possess such enchantment. The second princess, sensing Inori's curiosity, invited further questions. In a moment of realization, Inori queried the princess's name, to which she confessed she had none, having been stripped of it upon inheriting the right to the throne. Inori accepted this revelation with equanimity, though pondering the hypothetical exchanges between the first and second princesses. Throughout the lesson, Inori succumbed to sleep several times, yet each time he was gently roused by the second princess, who maintained her composure with the grace befitting her station. Despite her regal demeanor, Inori sensed an enigmatic aura surrounding her. As night descended, alone in his chamber, Inori shed the constraints of his daytime facade, embracing his true nature as he contemplated the revelations of the day. Through a clandestine act, he uncovered the secret of a magical eye, granting him the ability to manipulate mystical circles. With the aid of a maid, Inori experimented with summoning magic, relishing the sensation long dormant within him. In the depths of the forest, surrounded by the verdant embrace of nature, Inori reveled in his newfound power, his smile a testament to his satisfaction. With his fusion of magical circles, he expanded his reach, gazing into the distant unknown with a sense of exhilaration. Thus, Inori embarked on a journey of discovery, guided by the arcane secrets unveiled under the cloak of night. With success finally within reach, he ventured outside cautiously, only to be confronted by an unexpected sight. A colossal bird looming before him. Uncertainty gripped him as he questioned whether this creature was a mere beast or something more sinister. The monstrous bird, Quetzal, regarded him with equal confusion, its silence hanging heavy in the air. Inori, sizing up his opponent, noted the bird's formidable stature, hinting at formidable capabilities despite its seemingly benign demeanor. As the creature's gaping maw opened wide, resembling that of a crocodile, Inori cursed inwardly, realizing he was in for a fight he hadn't anticipated. Reacting swiftly, Inori delivered a decisive kick to Quetzal's face, unfurling his demonic wings. Recalling that Quetzal was a rare product of this realm, Inori braced himself for the battle ahead, pondering whether the denizens of the Land of the Rising Sun engaged in such confrontations regularly. Meanwhile, Commander Ijonazi traversed the castle's corridors, her path intersecting with a fellow princess, Hijona. Concerned for the girl's safety, wandering the castle unaccompanied, Ijonazi inquired about her presence. The princess, unfazed, recounted a conversation with another, Kia, regarding magical artifacts and the necessity of strength in facing monsters. Expressing apprehension for Inori's well-being, the second princess highlighted his reliance solely on physical prowess, devoid of magical aid. She feared his vulnerability, believing him ill-equipped to combat the perils beyond the castle walls without additional support. As Inori grappled with Quetzal, deftly dodging its assaults, he tapped into his mastery true dark magic, employing shadow movement to evade the bird's onslaught. Seizing control of nearby bricks with domination, he orchestrated a relentless barrage against his foe, reveling in his newfound abilities. Simultaneously, Ijonazi expounded on the dangers of dependency on external devices, advocating for inner strength as the true measure of a hero. The second princess, chastened by her concerns, acknowledged the wisdom in Ijonazi's words, realizing the gravity of her worries amidst the kingdom's turmoil. Amidst their discussion, a cry echoed through the castle, drawing attention to a mysterious plea for Mrs. Elia. Meanwhile, Inori stood victorious atop Quetzal's lifeless form, drenched in blood, a grim reminder of the harsh realities he faced since his arrival. 2 weeks into his journey, Inori grappled with the harsh truths of his predicament, the scarcity of aid, and the kingdom's dire financial state. Yet, amidst the challenges, he found solace in the potential rewards promised by the Confederation of Nations, offering a glimmer of hope in his darkest hour. Manipulating Nara and the last reason turned out to be extraordinarily peculiar during one of our lessons. Inori dozed off again, and the second princess woke him up with that same perpetual smile adorning her face. Despite the interruption, Inori apologized for his inadvertent nap, his smile mirroring hers. The princess gently urged him to be more attentive next time. Inori couldn't help but notice that the second princess, responsible for their class, displayed minimal emotion, earning her the moniker of the doll princess. He pondered over how dull he found her, adding to his woes of being conscripted into service in a struggling nation. Lost in his thoughts, a knock on the door jolted Inori back to reality. It was time for him to go, and he hastily assured Nara he was on his way. Soon enough, he found himself smiling as Zara handed him the blindfold he requested for an exercise. As he thanked the maid, Inori couldn't help but notice how conspicuous his golden eye from the magic eye formation was. He quickly asked Nara for an eye patch. In a moment of curiosity, he delved deeper into conversation with the maid, eager to learn more about the kingdom. The kingdom, led by the queen, had a tradition where the daughters inherited the throne. However, due to the queen's infertility, a concubine bore the king's daughter, Aliyah. Despite her modest magical abilities, Aliyah proved to be a genius, striving to prove herself worthy of the throne. Yet her dream shattered when the queen bore a biological daughter, Amanda, who was destined to inherit the throne. Inori realized the tragic story behind Aliyah's serene facade, robbed of her birthright and purpose. He couldn't help but empathize with her desire for a fairy tale ending, even though he knew he wasn't the Prince Charming she sought. During class, Inori often found himself drifting into slumber, only to be gently nudged awake by the second princess. He marveled at her stoic demeanor, noting how she never seemed to mind his lack of attention. But one day, the princess's sighs betrayed her frustration. She confided in Inori, revealing that she had awakened him 27 times already. Inori was taken aback by her vulnerability, realizing that despite her composed exterior, she too struggled with expectations. The princess urged Inori to strive harder, acknowledging his position as a hero and encouraging him to embrace his potential. Inori defended himself, asserting that despite appearances, he was doing his best. Moved by his sincerity, the princess proposed a change in their routine, leading them to a special class. Inori marveled at the magical aura of the room, realizing the significance of this unexpected opportunity. As they embarked on their lesson, Inori couldn't help but feel a newfound sense of determination, spurred on by the unexpected encouragement from the doll princess. Ensuring noise insulation in the glass ceiling proves to be a complex task. Its opaque exterior shrouds the internal dynamics, rendering outsiders oblivious to the unfolding drama within. To exemplify the merits of this enclosed space, the second princess unleashed a piercing scream, startling Inori. The lad, visibly tensed, caught off guard by the sudden outburst. Surveying the scene, Inori noted a palpable shift in atmosphere, pondering the cause of the second princess's distress. With brisk steps, she advanced towards him, expressing her earnest desire for him to take matters seriously. However, his frivolous demeanor persisted, prompting her to adopt a more assertive stance. She cautioned him, not as a threat, but as a warning of the dire consequences of his reckless behavior within the castle walls. Inori was taken aback, having been unaware of such criticism, even from Her Majesty, the Queen. The second princess's stern countenance bore down on him as she highlighted his lack of effort, stagnation, and irresponsibility. This revelation left Inori somewhat stunned as he grappled with the realization that his shortcomings had become common knowledge. As the second princess continued her verbal assault, Inori found himself evading her verbal blows, contemplating her transformation from a once docile figure to a formidable adversary. Dodging yet another verbal attack, he couldn't help but wonder about the source of her newfound vigor. It dawned on him that her aggression stemmed not from malice, but from a desire to assert her own strength. A surge of madness overtook Inori, and he found himself overcome with laughter. The princess, taken aback by his sudden outburst, inquired about the cause of his amusement. Through fits of laughter, Inori commended her resilience and unwavering determination, acknowledging her as a force to be reckoned with. Their exchange took an unexpected turn as Inori, still chuckling, addressed her by the name Aliyah, catching her off guard. Despite her attempts to divert the conversation, Inori persisted, highlighting the strength he saw within her. He reassured her that despite her facade of composure, a fiery spirit burned within her, unyielding to the trials of life. In response, Aliyah admitted her vulnerability, expressing a desire for strength and a yearning to rewrite the past. Her confession resonated with Inori, who recognized her genuine intentions to shield him from despair. Moved by her sincerity, he vowed to stand by her side, offering his support as she embarked on her journey towards self-improvement. Their exchange, though unconventional, fostered a newfound respect and understanding between them. Inori, once dismissive of Aaliyah's stoic facade, now admired her resilience and determination. As they shared a moment of vulnerability, a bond formed, transcending the superficial roles they once played. After listening to Princess Inori, Masayoshi moved away from her, his resolve fortified. He assured her not to worry, stating that although he may appear to rest often, his desire to achieve their shared goal burned fiercely within him. As he gazed into her eyes, he recognized a determination akin to the princess's own. As Masayoshi distanced himself from the princess, he detected something ominous lurking within Inori's figure: demonic powers. The second princess remarked that her efforts seemed futile and the special lesson unnecessary, yet she admonished Masayoshi to cease sleeping in class. She emphasized the joy of having a partner equally committed to their goal. As the special lesson concluded and they headed for the exit, Masayoshi felt a pang of regret as the second princess reverted to her role as a doll-like figure. He longed for her to be real, if only just a little more. Suddenly, an alarm shattered the tranquility. An intruder had breached the castle. Unfazed, Masayoshi engaged the guards, effortlessly disarming them. When questioned about his identity, he proclaimed himself to be Masayoshi Dat, a hero on a mission to confront Taka Fujinori. Upon the hero's arrival, Masayoshi observed their modern attire, deducing them to be the kingdom's champions. Without hesitation, he targeted Taka Fujinori, swiftly launching an attack. The guards warned the heroes to tread carefully, acknowledging Masayoshi Dat's prowess. Undeterred by Taka's confusion, Masayoshi continued his assault, wielding his blade with deadly precision. Despite Taka's realization that Masayoshi Dat possessed a blessing, he remained unaware of its nature, prompting him to unleash his own divine power. The clash intensified as both heroes tapped into their blessings, their fates intertwining in a battle of strength and determination. Masayoshi's movements, though lacking finesse, exuded a singular intent to vanquish his foe. And as the duel raged on, Masayoshi's overwhelming strength became apparent, leaving even seasoned warriors in awe of his might. Tension in the corridor was palpable as the man gathered his strength, preparing to strike. Suddenly, Masayoshi Dat's sword swiftly reached him, severing Shinzaki Rudo's arm. A heavy silence descended upon the corridor as shocked guards and remaining heroines watched in horror as Rudo's hand fell to the ground. Naruto trembled with fear, unwilling to meet a similar fate. Abruptly, a sharp crack echoed through the corridor as someone carefully examined Masayoshi's deadly sword. It was Ajana Z, the girl who dared to question the origin of Masayoshi Dat's weapon. She fearlessly blocked Masayoshi's retaliatory attack, prompting the commander to sternly question the neighboring country's guests about their actions. In response, Masayoshi Dat merely inquired about the identity of the girl who intervened in his duel. With calm resolve, she introduced herself as Ijonazi, the commander of the Knights of this realm. Masayoshi Dat acknowledged her title with a hint of surprise before resuming his assault, only to find himself blocked once more by Ajana's formidable skills. As the clash between Masayoshi Dat and Ijonazi intensified, Rudo noticed a sudden shift in the atmosphere. Masayoshi Dat revealed that he had yet to unleash his full power, instilling fear in Rudo's heart. Ijonazi politely urged Masayoshi Dat to reconsider his actions, but he remained resolute in his pursuit of defeating Taka Fujinori. A sense of dread washed over Rudo as he sensed a powerful presence behind him. Whirling around, he found himself face to face with an Ori whose enigmatic identity left him bewildered. Meanwhile, nearby, Inori observed the chaos, surrounded by wounded soldiers and officials from a neighboring country. Inori's attention was drawn to Masayoshi Dat, who expressed his satisfaction at finally encountering Taka Fujinori. Without hesitation, Inori confirmed his identity as Taka Fujinori, much to the surprise of onlookers. The second princess questioned Inori's lack of recognition, prompting him to reflect on Masayoshi Dat's determination to challenge him. Approaching Inori with unwavering resolve, Masayoshi Dat proclaimed him unworthy of the goddess. In that moment, Inori's mind drifted to a memory of encountering a mysterious girl in a transcendent realm between worlds, a realm where souls underwent transformation. However, his thoughts were interrupted by an unexpected proposal from Masayoshi Dat, which was swiftly met with rejection by the goddess. The goddess's refusal stunned Masayoshi Dat, leading to an awkward pause before the conversation resumed. Inori found himself drawn back into the unfolding events, grappling with the surreal circumstances surrounding him. Fujinori, and now, meeting with a broad smile, Dad reminisced about how he encountered the goddess. Inori glanced at the fellow in surprise. Takafuji apologized, admitting he didn't quite grasp what Masayoshi Dad was rambling about. The only takeaway from the tale, it seemed, was his rejection by the goddess. Puzzled, he pondered why he'd impulsively proposed in the first place. Inori mulled over his interference, realizing he shouldn't have meddled. As Masayo Shidat continued his narrative, recounting the day, he knelt before the goddess. Inori couldn't help but reflect on the awkwardness of it all. The goddess's response, while gracious, underscored Masayoshi's futile pursuit. When Dad inquired about her romantic interests, Masayoshi erupted, demanding an explanation. The goddess hesitated, then recalled a certain individual, Takafuji Inori, whom she had fallen for at first sight. Inori had an epiphany. The goddess had deftly shifted the burden onto him. Uncertain of his next move, Inori pondered Masayoshi's challenge. Masayoshi Shidat dismissed further discussion, eager to engage. Inori, aware of Masayoshi's formidable blessing, hesitated to provoke him further. He resolved not to engage in combat, nor would he advise Rudo to do so. Reflecting on Aaliyah's warning about expulsion from the castle, Inori saw an opportunity. When Masayoshi Shidat egged him on, Inori reluctantly accepted the challenge, much to everyone's astonishment. Masayoshi unsheathed his sword, relishing the confrontation. Inori proposed a fairer duel format, prompting Masayoshi's curiosity. Masayoshi Shidat's surprise at the dungeon takeover plan amused Inori. The commander explained the training purpose of the dungeon's shallow floors. Inori suggested this setting, leveling the playing field for both of them. The following day, Inori found Masayoshi Shidat gone, leaving him to contemplate the impending challenge. With the aid of his surveillance blessing, Inori navigated the dungeon with ease, his only concern being a mysterious follower. Cornering the pursuer, Inori unmasked them, revealing Princess Alia. Surprised by his stealth, Alia confessed her concern for him. Inori noted Alia's makeshift dungeon attire, realizing her trust in Nara. Teasing aside, Inori acknowledged his own lack of preparedness. Altering his attire, he reassured Alia before darting off. Later, Alia was startled as Inori's clothes materialized before her eyes. Inori explained his newfound skill in crafting equipment, a result of his monster hunting expeditions. With his resources pooled from both the kingdom and the dungeon, Inori had fashioned a pitch-black robe imbued with dark magic. As they ventured forth, Inori reassured Alia, donning his newly created attire. The princess's slap stung his cheek, her gaze piercing as she demanded, which man dares to disrobe in the presence of a lady? She, a princess, held her dignity paramount. Inori, facing punishment for his insolence, retorted, Alia's kicks sting even fiercer without her skirts. The girl, dissatisfied with his lack of remorse, found his defiance unsettling. Yet, amidst their exchange, Inori glimpsed a lurking monster behind the second princess. Quick to action, he melded his dark magic with deft throwing techniques, wielding daggers of his own crafting. With a smirk, he declared an end to the spectacle, deeming it time to cease such games. Alia, taken aback, found no trace of the vanquished monster. Inori beckoned the princess to witness his unique combat style, setting the stage for Takafuji Andori versus Masayoshi Shidat. 6 hours into the battle for the goddess, Masayoshi Shidat swiftly dispatched the awaited boss, crimson torrents painting the scene. Victorious, he lamented Takafuji Andori's absence, pondering the latter's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Nara attended to laundry duties in the castle, startled by the second princess's disheveled state. Alia, attributing it to the maid's clamor, requested a bath for Nara, who inquired about recent dungeon events. The second princess mentioned Inori's rendezvous with Her Majesty, the Queen. Inori bowed before the Queen's stern gaze, acknowledging his defeat without excuse. The Queen, incensed by his failure, denounced his incompetence and ordered his banishment. Inori, however, contested, questioning the notion of damage inflicted. Revealing the duel's wager, a certain girl's honor, he presented a trove of treasures salvaged from the dungeon. Hours earlier, Alia had questioned Inori's motives, to which he cryptically replied, intent on reaping benefits beyond victory. Undeterred by defeat, he sought to reclaim his dignity, embracing an alternative path to gain. As Alia unearthed an overlooked chest, Inori cautioned against it, but she persisted. To her horror, the chest revealed a monstrous mimic threatening her life. Inori, observing, hesitated to intervene, amused by the irony of royalty requiring rescue. Now, amidst the peril, Inori assessed the situation, pondering his next move in this precarious dance between fate and folly. The princess had already disrobed and was luxuriating in a bath, expressing her gratitude for the chance to explore the dungeon under the guise of a duel. She saw it as an opportunity to demonstrate the usefulness of her surveillance, blessing by bringing back treasures. Instead of facing blame for the defeat, Taka, Fuji, and Ori managed to solve the problem of exile. As she relaxed, she reflected on how Inori turned out to be much stronger and more sinister than she had imagined. Upon returning to her room, she discovered a new skill, cheating, and a new title, Bad Actor. Meanwhile, the second princess remarked on Inori's unexpected strength, while others prepared for a public meeting between the heroes and heroines of the Kingdom of the Rising Sun and the Kingdom of Grant. Irony, feeling like an outsider, observed the festivities, acknowledging his own incompetence compared to the other heroes. He silently thanked Masayoshi's intervention for allowing him to participate, even though he knew he wouldn't be treated as a true hero. As Irony contemplated his situation, he encountered Sternrest blocking his view. After the man moved aside, Irony encountered Tanaka Yuichi, who apologized for the inconvenience. Hikari scolded Masayoshi for causing trouble, but her tirade was interrupted by her father, who dismissed her protests. As tensions rose, Irony considered leaving, but his curiosity led him to examine the status of the heroes from the other country. He noticed Tanaka's mysterious ability and approached the first princess, who had invited him to the meeting. Despite feeling out of place, Irony couldn't help but notice the lavishness of the gathering and the opulence of the nobles. Seeking refuge, Irony approached the second princess, only to find her distant and unresponsive. Dak approached him, questioning why he had agreed to the duel. Irony didn't regret his decision, but Dak's smug demeanor grated on him. Later, Inori enjoyed a meal, contemplating his own power and the challenges ahead. He ventured into a fantastic forest, encountering Fenrai, the king of wolves. A fierce battle ensued, with Irony narrowly escaping defeat through cunning and strategy. Despite the encounter's intensity, Irony saw it as a learning experience, recognizing the need for better weapons and understanding his body's regenerative abilities. As Irony retreated to his room, he reflected on the fight, determined to improve and face future challenges. His HP decreases in mysterious ways, fluctuating unpredictably despite sustaining various injuries. Sometimes, even severe internal organ damage barely chips away at his health, while other times, seemingly minor injuries drain him of more HP. Finru's attacks are particularly tricky. The needles from his fur find their mark, each with its own set damage. A hit to the head may only graze him for 5 points, but losing an arm could cost him 80 ape. He's come to believe that damage scales with the volume of body parts lost, a gruesome realization. His unique regeneration ability operates on a macabre principle. His blood transmutes into flesh, a vampiric trait. Strangely, his heart, typically the life force of a vampire, is his Achilles heel. Silver, not mithril like otherworld vampires, is his true weakness, owing to his origins in the... He defies the norms of this world, an anomaly in a realm devoid of level-ups and skill trees. His magic defies categorization, confounding even the most seasoned wizards. He toys with newfound abilities, pushing the boundaries of what he thought possible. Tonight, he ventures into the forest with Fenrir as his target, a foe deserving of retribution. Bound by a witch's contract, they safeguard their territory, annihilating any threat that dares encroach. Irony needles Fenrir, taunting him with the importance of their battleground, goading him into a confrontation. Fenrir, blinded by rage, fails to see the trap until it's too late. Corpses of fallen beasts rise to assail him, once comrades twisted into puppets of Irony's design. As the second princess, Alia, sneaks from the castle to watch the fray, her attendant, Nara, aids her escape, providing attire suited for clandestine excursions. The encounter unfolds as Irony and Fenrir clash, each driven by their own sense of duty and vengeance. Meanwhile, Taka, Fuji, and Ori confront a monstrous adversary, orchestrating a dance of deception and strategy. Ori, buoyed by his family's support, deftly evades Fenrir's onslaught, countering with his own arsenal of dark magic and cunning. With calculated precision, He chips away at Fenrir's defenses, exploiting weaknesses and turning the tide of battle in his favor. Ultimately, Fenrir finds himself ensnared by Ori's shadowy bindings, powerless against the ingenuity of his foe. As victory looms within Ori's grasp, he braces for the final confrontation, ready to vanquish his nemesis once and for all. Pulled the chain and gloatingly said that Fenrir would not be able to escape from this vine. He will not escape death. Characteristics of the vine: A+ quality price, 5 million abilities. Binding, crystallization, hardening, compression. Fenrir looked at the guy carefully and asked when he had time. Didn't even notice any. The guy replied that he could completely control what he had created, even the smell could erase. He did everything, even the smell of the vine, and then allowed himself to relax. A little. Inori thought that all the shadows of the things he decided to take control of belong to him. He means things that are related to his shadow space. The guy continued to reason that the shadow knives that he stuck into different trees. Battle, he created a vine and controlled it remotely. Then he used himself as bait, teleported into the sky, slowly lured him into a trap. Fenrir growled in pain and tried to escape. Inori replied with a smile that it turns out to be resistant to cutting blows. It's not enough to break them. Inori looked at the monster with a grin, shouted that this was the end. Enjoy his appetite. The guy ate his enemy. Inori wiped his lips as new characteristics suddenly appeared. Taka Fujinori, 13 Latvian lats, received unique skills. King's Tool improved, adding some skills to Latvian lats. Bite 1 Latvian lat, jump 1 Latvian lat, flight 2 Latvian Latin, evasion 1 Latvian lat, thread weaving 1 Latvian lat, control. Latvian lat's trap setting received the title Titan Killer. The Nori thought that he also got the unique skill, the King's Tool. The king has the skills to adjust the skills of his services, increase their intelligence and communication. Inori continued to reason that it was a blessing that Fenrir had. Now he is wondering if it is possible to take away or deprive someone of his blessing and skills and give it to another person in the form of a unique skill. The little monster approached Inori and called him master. The guy asked him in surprise what he could see. The monster said no, but now suddenly he could. Inori thought it was because of the King's Tool. The guy asked the monster what he needed. The black wolf replied that he meant the master who was lying at his feet. The wolf went on to say that Inori should do them a favor, their former master. He was desperately trying to protect them. All he thought, everyone he's going to kill, all the inhabitants of this forest. Inori replied with a smile that of course he's going to hunt them all. The monster replied that then they all asked him to become their master. Inori looked into the monster's eyes and Nori thought that everything was clear. Fenrir wanted to protect them, and he offers him to take his family under his care from a bunch of wolves. Fenrir's family. He doesn't think it will bring him much trouble at all. Inori smiled and thought that the more they can become a good weapon. The guy told the pack of wolves that he agreed. The monsters simultaneously said that they were grateful to the master for everything he had done for them. Inori looked up and thought that sucking blood from Fenrir was quite a laborious task. This huge wolf, will he turn black? After becoming his servant, Inori said out loud that if they made all the wolves from this forest their family, will be a very big and strong black family. A circle appeared under Inori's feet. The Nori thought when was said and done, the sky began to lighten. Inori returned to the castle and wondered if anyone ever came home. Morning, the guy laid down on the bed and answered his question, that if not, he would say that it was disgusting. He has no idea how he can fall asleep in class today. He was sitting at the same table with Ijonur, Etsy, and drinking tea. Suddenly, the girl, without looking up at the guy, asked if he wanted to join the order. Her face showed no emotion as she asked her question. Inori widened his eyes in surprise and stared at the girl incredulously that she wanted him to join the order. Inori thought that he had assumed that he would be summoned in order to be kicked out of the kingdom. Surprise, he continued to argue that then he was offered to join the order. Put down her cup of tea, she got up from the table and said that he could temporarily not worry about exile to a duel with a hero from a neighboring country. She started walking around the room and says that this is just a temporary reprieve for this issue because he won't be able to fight the demon lord like a hero. The North angrily and disappointed that it was clear, after all he's no hero, and if he can't fight the Lord, then the treatment of him as a hero will soon come to an end. Inori stared blankly ahead and continued to ponder. Was being offered to join the order since he could not be a hero. Itzy leaned over to the guy and put her hand on his shoulder. The girl, with a blank expression, said that before she continued, she will say that she does consider it useless because it is possible to direct Inori's skills in a more correct direction. The girl leaned over to the guy's ear and asked with a smile that she had surprised him. Inori grunted in shock and replied to her, quite a bit. This is due to the fact that basically everyone considers him absolutely useless. Inori remembered how their training went. He thought that, to be honest, he always tried to spend as much time as possible on training. Even so, they still consider him losers or something like that, the guy's soul thinking that it was even great. If it wasn't for that, he would fall asleep in an instant during these workouts. Inori put down a cup of tea, told it so that he couldn't give her an answer